BD5 Pilot with you out at the Hillsboro hangar, and let me show you what I got in the mail and what I've been doing, which is some of the most terrifying work I have done yet. So in preparation for the polishing, I've been doing a lot of reading, and the sites basically told me don't mess around with some of the automotive stuff. Buy a good compounding electric unit for getting that initial compounding done, ready for polish, and then buy the right materials for doing that work. The wool, solid wool pads, individual ones for each of the different polishing compounds, and then a backing plate that doesn't break easily. And then there's the biggie. There's the Cyclo Pro 5. That's for the final polish. That's a dual head 4-inch, and that's what gives that mirror finish that everybody lusts after when they look at a polished aircraft. But in preparation for that work, I've got to go through and find things like where this Pro Seal is on that rivet. Clean all of that out. Use some very fine sanding compounds on some of the scratches that are in here to try to smooth them out. Take some of the super fill that was used when this winglet got put on the wing root, and make sure I can get through that, cut through that material. And then the one that does have me out of word is up here on the rudder. I'm not sure. I might have to do a new rudder, and since I have to do the R8 mod anyway, that might be how that works out. Now for the terrifying part. I've got these access plates that I got a while back from BD Micro, and so I've measured out where they're supposed to go, put the plate itself on so I can mark them, and then of course done a little cutting, which I wanted to cut this out just to see what I was dealing with behind here, and then find out what's my measurement up to what I'm butting up against, so that first time it gets cut is the right time, and I don't regret any of the cuts that I make on this aircraft. So I'll continue cutting those out and be back to show you what I got done. All right, so the hole for the horizontal stabilizer inspection is done. We can actually look in there and see the assembly, see the stuff I have to vacuum up now. There's the lines, cable for the elevator cable up at one, and then these are for the trim itself. And so I've got a little trimming to do to get up to that edge, and then after that, these supports, the 90-degree bend, those go in, rivet in from behind, and then they get marked for the screws so that this will fit flush over the top with recessed screws. All right, I've taken and marked the plate for the lower pulleys for the horizontal stabilizer, and use the awl to scribe the edge. We're about to drill the holes in the corners. So holes are now drilled. We're ready to use the Dremel to cut the edges out, and that's the bit I used, which starts with a small hole, but that'll make them a little bigger so you can just work them up towards the edge and have a smoother corner without a sharp edge to it, which can give trouble with vibration. And there we have the inspection plate cut, and we can now inspect the lower the cables and pulley system for those lower part of the horizontal stabilizer system. And then I've got a little cleanup to do, and then starting to drill holes after that. So I've got the hole completely cut and trimmed, and then I've taken the piece, put a little cleco to hold it, just to make sure am I getting the right fit. And then I'm going to cleco it onto that piece and use it as a guide. So here's what I mean by using it as a guide. I put the piece that's going to go on the outside, the cover plate itself, on the inside, and then place it in, and I got to work a little bit to get it to lock into where that hole actually is. Then I can use it to then mark and drill the holes that are going to hold that piece on. So now with two of those holding on, I can go ahead and drill the rest of the holes, put the clecos in, hold them in place, and then I'll pull it back off and reverse the order, make sure everything fits. Then we can drill to the larger size and countersink. and put the rivet nuts on. Now that I've got it looking like a porcupine, I got to pull all of those out, turn the plate around to the other side and place the doubler on the inside and cleco it in place, making sure it all fits, and then we'll get to drilling out to the 1/8 inch size holes. That sure is looking like it's going to work. And that's an even better indication that it's going to work. And there we go, a success story. It's fit, it's flush. And now to work making the, enlarging the size of the holes. Now I'm going through the painstaking process of removing a cleco, drilling it out to the larger size, and then skipping over, moving to another one. This ensures that we keep our alignment correct, so that when this part is finalized, it's going to fit smooth and flush, and we're not going to have an alignment problem. Now the doubler is about half finished. Just have to pull the rest of those silver clecos, drill to 1/8 of an inch, and put the copper color clecos in their place, make sure everything fits. There, now we drill out the inside set of holes, because those need to be enlarged for the nut rivets that are go on behind, and then that's going to be a separate installation that takes place on the bench when I have that piece pulled back out. Everything still has to be deburred and dimple dyed. You see how a plane is a lot of work? And there, the last of the holes are drilled, so I'll be pulling everything off. And we might have something that does kind of get done today, although I'm not going to get the Pro Seal out until I am doing all of them at the same time. So we've got the aluminum parts back off, and they're deburred, and now it's a matter of taking these clecos and putting those nut rivets into the places they're going to go, so that we can mark and drill the holes for the small rivets that hold those in place, the cherry rivets. So there we go, we're set for drilling the holes for those little cherry pop rivets, and then we'll be able to get those nut rivets put in place. So I've got the part dimple dyed, deburred, cleaned off with MEK. I've got the inspection plate itself dimpled, so it'll take those countersunk screws. So we're ready to put the cherry rivets to hold these nut rivets in place, and I'll let you see it when I get done. So there, now I've got the, I think they're called nut plates, not nut rivets, which I keep calling them, but those are set. Now we're ready to place it back into the aircraft with the clecos, and then make sure that the screws will go in, the countersunk screws. So there's the doubler clecoed back in, and then we're going to make sure that the piece itself fits in. I brought the screws, so I'll be back in a second and let you know if that fit. And there you have. Just waiting on some Pro Seal and the final flush rivets, but we've got a couple other plates to put in, so I'll be saving that so we can all do it at one mixing of Pro Seal. But there's the inspection plate for the lower horizontal stabilizer pulleys, and nice kit from BD Micro. Thank you. Well, I'm happy with the side that we already got done. I'm not so happy with this second side, so I'm going to be back tomorrow doing a little more work. I'd have to make a couple more pieces over just to make it fit a little bit better. For now, BD5 is out.